The All Blacks will engage in an experiment this weekend that many pundits would have liked to have seen earlier, with Richie Mo'unga starting at first five and Beauden Barrett at fullback. That's the biggest talking point from the team named today to play the Springboks in Wellington on Saturday night, and adds an exciting element to an already big match. Coach Steve Hansen says Mo'unga and Barrett are two of the All Blacks' best backs, and he wants them on the field at the same time.
To replace Beauden at first five, you've got to have someone that's pretty good, and Richie's been playing very well for the last couple of years, and at some point you want all your good players to be on the park. Both of them are world-class players, so I said those games are the right time to try that particular part of the plan.
Now, Sonny Bill Williams is back in the midfield. That's after overcoming his latest injury. While the forward pack is largely the same as Super Rugby winning Crusaders, Williams has barely played this season, has only managed 37 games of rugby since the 2015 World Cup, an average of less than 10 games a year. However, he's still the selector's first choice in the midfield, and Steve Hansen wants just one thing of Williams this weekend.
Yeah, we've got to see him stay in the park. We know he can play rugby to a high level, so it's his durability at the moment that's been affecting him about getting on the park. So we just want to see him put some minutes together and then assess it from there.
We can go now to RNZ Rugby reporter Joe Porter, who joins us from the Wellington studio. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. What do you make of the move? I suppose it also gives, this is the Mo'unga-Barrett move, it gives them a bit more goal-kicking options as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, both have been kicking phenomenally of late, so it'll be hard to I guess, pick between the two this weekend to see who takes the kicks. Cody Taylor joked today they might just take turns. They've been that good lately. But yes, it is an exciting prospect, having Beauden Barrett back at fullback, where he, of course, started his All Blacks career coming off the bench behind Dan Carter at first five. So he was superb in those early days at fullback. He really has a natural game that's probably more suited to fullback, whereas Richie Mo'unga is a more traditional, classical style first five. He's more of a backline general, dictates play, controls play well, in wet conditions, drives the team around, and I guess provides a little bit more stability, whereas Beauden Barrett provides a bit more X factor. So having them both on the field at once seems to be the All Blacks' trump card, I guess, heading into this World Cup, like they would have liked to have done with Damien McKenzie, but he's out obviously for the rest of the season. So yeah, it looks like they want to get Beauden Barrett and Richie Mo'unga on the field at all times.
Yeah, and good to have them with a bit of experience and playing time in case there's sort of a similar scenario to 2011 where first fives were dropping like flies.
That's right. They need Mo'unga to have as much game time, big game match experience under his belt as they possibly can going into the World Cup, because Beauden Barrett's been there and done that. So this is an experiment from the team, and they've got a very senior back three now, and Ben Smith, Beauden Barrett and Rieko Ioane, and it'll be interesting to see how they go. This may well be the way the team lines up in the World Cup.
Yeah, it certainly looks a stronger one than the one that played the Pumas. But, talking about not having too much game time, Sonny Bill Williams, it does show how valuable he is, though, if Steve Hansen's throwing him in against the Springboks.
Yeah, obviously he is one of Steve Hansen's key components to what he thinks will make up this World Cup squad. He's giving Sonny Bill Williams every opportunity he can to make this team. Look, he hasn't played any rugby this year, barely any rugby at all. The last game he had was 50 minutes for Ponsonby or club rugby about 3 weeks ago, so he's incredibly underdone. But obviously they back his ability, they back his game knowledge, they back his experience and big match capabilities and his ability to turn a match with some of those offloads and unique skill sets that he has. So, look, if Sonny Bill Williams stays fit, he'll play the next 3 games, I imagine, against the Wallabies in the 2 Bledisloe Cup tests as well, and that will secure his spot in the World Cup. However, if he falls over this weekend, I think that might be him.
Right, wow. And just before we go, obviously it's a shorter international season in a World Cup year, so there's a shorter rugby championship. Are we likely to see another kind of change and roll of the dice by Steve Hansen against the Wallabies?
Look, I think you might be right. I think we might see, and it was mentioned today in the press conference, Ardie Savia, the country's best loose forward at the moment in Super Rugby, playing number 8, and Captain Kieran Reid moving to number 6 to blindside. Blindside is an area where the All Blacks are really lacking depth at the moment. Liam Squire is missing with personal issues. It's unclear whether he will even come back in time for the World Cup. He was their first choice last year. Avaya Fafita and Shannon Frizzell. Fafita got to go against Argentina, wasn't great. Frizzell gets to go this weekend against the Springboks, but they're not convinced on either of those 2 players yet. So I think from next week onwards, we may well see Ardie Savia at number 8, Kieran Reid at number 6, with Sam Cane on the blindside. That may well be your top choice loose forward trio going into the World Cup.
Wow, okay, we'll have to wait and see, and it's a good chance for players to show their mettle, that's for sure. Our rugby reporter Joe Porter there joining us and giving us his expertise on the upcoming match at Westpac Stadium Saturday night against the Springboks.